In this video, I want to talk to you about the different tools that I use at the time of recording this video. Let's dig in. For production, I use tools, all of these. First one is 8 Super Tools. 8 Super Tools, I particularly use their Questions Explorer as well as their Video Topic Title Explorer or something like that. I use this to find different ideas as to what my audience is searching about so that I can go ahead and create content around it. I also use Canva for creating some quick graphics. I use Freeplane, which is a mind mapping tool, which is what this entire course has been built on. I also use Notepad++. There are times when I have to make minor tweaks in terms of CSS or some weird language, and copy pasting stuff into Notepad++ has been my tool of choice. Affinity Designer is a vector illustration software that I own. It's by Serif. It's a fantastic alternative to Adobe Illustrator because this just requires a one-time payment, not a subscription. Obsidian was the center of my workflow where everything would reside in Obsidian. But of late, I've just shifted to Freeplane as my base of operations for my 2-week sprint. I also use a lot of Excalibur, especially in meetings when I want to communicate things or I need to sketch something out for a video that I'm making. Hemingway app comes in when I'm sending out my emails. I send out daily emails, and I use Hemingway app to make sure that my language is at a grade 5 or a grade 6 level. Slides and Sheets for when I have to do my corporate workshop work, and then Notion. Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of Notion. I find it a bit too slow for my taste, but I cannot deny its use and effectiveness when it comes to collaboration. So that's there. I also use Gumroad to sell my stuff, right? And I do have a challenge of being able to pass the names of people who buy the courses and all that, but that's a small problem for me to solve. I have a couple of websites. Most of them, they run on WordPress, but my home website, the notes and all that I maintain run under like Quartz is a GitHub repo that uses my Obsidian Vault to present everything that needs to be presented in a very unique and novel exploratory way as a graph. And of course, I use ConvertKit for my landing pages and GitHub to store the content for Quartz. That's for production. My Twitter tools, I mainly use TweetHunter because I have an annual plan, but just recently they've announced that Twitter pricing for their APIs has changed, so that's going to change the market a lot. I'm going to wait and see before I renew anything over there. Social Blade is what I use for tracking. Then there's YouTube. I use TubeBuddy to get some sort of research data. I use a description generator to align and create all my descriptions. And I use OBS, Open Broadcaster Software. It's a free and open source software. That's what I'm using to record this course as well, but I also use it for streaming. And in terms of email, I love ConvertKit. That's all I gotta say. If you are looking for a free plan, at the time of this recording, MailerLite is offering a free plan with automations as well. That being said, there is one important point about email. At the time of this recording, there are a bunch of these newsletter businesses that have popped up, and there are a bunch of these people who are offering like, hey, you can have viral referral growth to your newsletter. I'm going to go on record and say that those kind of people are not necessarily the best kind of audience that you can get, right? Remember earlier we spoke about quality versus quantity, and I've spoken to many other creators as well who've been having this challenge. The creators who, the audience that comes in from these sort of swaps, they're not as engaged. They're not put in that effort to get onto your list as someone who's just come into your list for you, or they come onto your email list to listen to what you have to say. They've come in because there were a bunch of boxes that were already ticked, and they pressed one button. They're like, let's see what happens, right? Those are not necessarily the kind of people that you want. It is way better for you to have a smaller but a more engaged audience of buyers than it is for you to have a large list of people to whom you can sell sponsorships to. I mean, if selling sponsorships is your thing, go for it. I'm not saying no, but if you want to sell your product or service using your email list, that is not, in my opinion, a good way to go. All right, said my piece. Finally, for productivity, I got ADHD, right? So I got like a ton of tools. I have an auto hotkey script that reminds me what I'm supposed to be working on. I often go on body doubling sessions. I use BeefText as an open source text expander. I use Freeplane to manage most of my stuff. I use the autofocus productivity method by Mark Foster. I want to thank my friend Satya for introducing me to this. Cold turkey blocker because I have very little self-restraint. I have a kitchen timer lying around somewhere. I can't find it right now because my desk is messy. But it's one of those, it's one of those things. I also use this freeware called FreeTimer on Windows because it allows me to, one, pin it on top, and two, it has like that visual countdown, right? Like that this part is red and that part is like shrinking continuously. I also use a lot of Post-its to remind me of stuff. All right, this was a quick video. It was a long video, but it was a quick whirlwind tour of all the tools that I actually use to run my business. And before we reach the final end of this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about what are the projects that you can run once you're all set up. How can you kickstart your marketing? And that's in the next video. See you there.